Hello everybody, my name is Yariela Fallas and today I'm gonna give you a short summary of the beginnings of England. To be more exactly, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Anglo-Saxon period. So please enjoy the presentation. First of all, Anglo-Saxons. What are the Anglo-Saxons? What is that? Okay, Anglos and Saxons were two tribes that came from Germany to Britain after the fall of the Roman Empire. So when the Romans left England, the Anglos and the Saxons moved in. And well, the Anglos were like the tribe or the group that was more dominant. That's one of the reasons why now England is known as England, because they named the land of Britain as Anglo-land. So then these two words became England. The same with the language, it was English, now what we know as English. As I said before, when the Romans left England, these two tribes decided to move in, the Anglos and the Saxons. There was another tribe, the Utes, they were from Denmark, were another tribe that were living there on England or on Britain, but they weren't as powerful as the Anglos. And well, when Anglo-Saxons moved in, they were like the real masters of the land. So they were the dominant group, and in fact they didn't do too much to preserve or to rescue the Romans' gift to the land. In contrast, they were the ones who created the New England. Let's analyze a little bit of the Roman conquest. The conquest began in AD 43, and let's see the influence they had over the country, over this land of Britain. We can mention some stuff that they brought. So for example, we have economy and trading, organized governments, they were very organized. We have also lasting settlements, as for example big cities. In transportation, we have roads, they built some roads. To protection, they have the Hadrian's Wall, which is one of the most important monuments left by the Romans. And in fact, nowadays we can still see it because the Hadrian's Wall is still alive today. Romans began a prosperous colony, and in fact it was thanks to them that we have the first records of England's history, especially to Julius Caesar, which was the first person in recording history of England. And as I said before, after ruling for like 400 years, they had to move back to Italy. That was homeland. Now, returning to the Anglo-Saxons, it is important to mention that they became the basis for English culture. Also, they came up with a new language, which is what we now know as Old English. And well, they took a little bit of both cultures, the Roman culture and the Celts. But who were the Celts? Well, let's see it. The Celts were a Breton tribe. Some characteristics of them, well, they were mysterious people. They believed in nature, in spirits in nature, and they also believed in magic. They had also mysterious infrastructure, because there are some things that people is like, how did they put this over here? And well, they were not a Christian group, they were more like a cult. Talking about religion, we have to mention the Druids. The Druids were like the priest of the tribe, and about their beliefs, they believed in spirits and nature. To mention some themes, we have violence, passion, and nature again. Now that you know who the Celts were, as I was saying, Anglo-Saxons took a little bit of both. That mysterious and magic nature, violence of the Druids, and the organization of the Romans. They combine these two cultures, a little bit of both, and well, let's see a little bit more about their lives. Anglo-Saxons lived in little villages and they had a fence around to keep out monsters and creatures because they believed in those things, so they wanted to feel secure. In talking about society, loyalty was very important for them, loyalty between leaders and followers. And at the top of everything was a god, the Christian God. Then the king was the next most important person. He had the power of everything, and well, he will give to his warriors titles and lands and gold. The warriors were the next in this line, and they were the ones who served the king. In the lowest part, or at the bottom of this, we could find slaves. Religion is another important part to talk about, and they had a mix of pagan and Christian values, a mix of Jews and Roman culture. So let's see a little bit of both of the pagan and Christian values. Early Anglo-Saxons were pagan. They didn't believe in afterlife. In fact, they thought they had to reach the glory on earth. So they also lived for honor, pride, their reputation. Revenge was very important to them. They believed in these different gods and different spirits in nature. The god of the sky, the god of this and that. Also, they wanted to take as much as they could. So this was like the life they had at the beginning when they were pagan. On the other hand, we have the influence of Christianity, and this was like the opposite to pagan, because for example, they did believe in afterlife. This could be in heaven or in hell. That was going to depend on people's behavior, and in fact their goal was to reach the glory. They were against human pride, the opposite to pagans, because for them it was important honor, reputation, and pride. For Christians it was very important the law of forgiveness, and they believed just in one God, the Christian God, not in multiple gods as the pagans. They were pagan until 597, and after that, missionaries were able to convert most of the Anglo-Saxon kings and their people to Christianity. The spread of Christianity was very important for the Anglo-Saxons because the church brought contact with the Mediterranean world. Another important point is the literature of the Anglo-Saxon period. Early literature took the form of lengthy epic poems that praised heroic warriors. They reflected the harsh, brutal reality of life during the time, so they wanted to write about what was happening around them, about their realities. The epic poems were far more than simple entertainment. They were a story lesson. They wanted to teach something with these stories. They had also literature about epic heroes in brutal conditions, those heroes who wanted to reach glory. An example of this is Beowulf, which is a story where this main character was a warrior, then he became a king. He wanted to defeat his people. He fought against a monster, then against that monster's mom. At the end, he fought against a dragon. So these stories were like the rest of the stories. I mean, the literature was mainly about this. And precisely this that I mentioned is part of the characteristics of an epic hero, because most of the stories have this epic hero. And well, the epic poems concern the actions of the epic hero. He had to be noble birth or has a high position. the character traits that reflect ideals of society. He was like a superhuman. The fate of all the world rested on their shoulders. He faced dragons, monsters. Precisely that's like the example that I mentioned before about Beowulf. This was the literature of the Anglo-Saxon period. Another group that invaded this land were the Vikings, and basically they destroyed a lot of things in England. They destroyed many works of the Anglo-Saxons. They destroyed English culture and settlements. In summary, that was really bad for the Anglo-Saxons. The most successful English opponent of the Vikings was Alfred the Great. He constructed what was the first navy of England. He also constructed fortified towns. He defeated his people. Alfred's successors were able to contain the Vikings, but it was kind of late because basically this land was divided between Scandinavian people and the surviving Anglo-Saxon people. The last invasion was the Norman conquest. Its main character was Norman the Conqueror. He was French, and basically he came and combined his culture with the English culture. This happened during the Middle Ages, and basically this is how the Anglo-Saxon period arrived to its end. And well, to conclude, I think it's very important to rescue some relevant details about the Anglo-Saxons. For example, Anglo-Saxons dominated England history for about 600 years. They were the ones who built some of the foundation for the culture of their land. They became the basis for English culture. They provided its language. Well, the word English comes from English. They began its literature. They established traditions in law, government, and religion. They were the first English people. Well, this video has arrived to its end. This was a summary of the beginnings of England's history, the Anglo-Saxon period. If you have any question, just let me know. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.